Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our webcast today. Thanks for joining us this morning. My name is Andy Dio. I'm your host. And presenting today on Fusion 360 is Mr. Jorge Fernandez. He's a CAD application engineer based in Northern California. And we also have online a special guest, Garen Gardner. Garen is a Senior Business Development Manager at Autodesk, and he's also a Fusion 360 expert. So you got a couple of people who know a lot about Fusion, so feel free to ask lots of questions. Before I pass the presentation over to Jorge, I just do want to remind the audience that at any time during the webcast, when you see something interesting you want to ask a question, there is a Q&A panel in your GoToWebinar Control Center, so just go ahead and type that in, and we will address it in the Q&A section of the webcast. With that, the presentation now goes to Mr. Jorge Fernandez. Jorge?
All right, thank you, Andy. So welcome, everybody, and today we're going to discuss, and the title here is everything you wanted to know about Fusion 360, and really what we're going to focus on today is letting you know what is Fusion 360, first of all. I think for some of you, you might have already heard of it, and you might be wondering, why would I use it? Should I use it? Who should use it within my corporation, maybe? And finally, how do we actually get to it? How do we start using it, get it downloaded, and so forth? So these are the things we're going to do today. We'll have it a demonstration of it, of course. And before we get into that, though, let's talk about what is Fusion 360. So Fusion 360, for most of you here, will understand it as a 3D modeler, really. It's going to give you integrated design tools so that all the tools that you would normally need, you'll have it right inside of there. You can access it anywhere, meaning on iPads, on iPhones, on your computer, on Mac computers as well. And then be able to have what we call an advanced collaboration, meaning that different people within your organization or the different people you're working with will be able to have access to it, and you'll be able to kind of comment back and forth. And we'll see this today. Some of the features, and I am really just kind of skimming the surface here. Again, it is a 3D modeler. We'll see it today, of course, where it'll give you the ability to create assembly still. It'll give you the ability to still make renderings, even bring in meshes, and be able to do freeform design around it as well. You'll also have an integrated CAM inside of it, as well as being able to do prep for 3D printing, and again, the live collaboration that's on top of A360, actually. So you might be asking yourself, should I be using this? Who else in my company can use this? Now, here's a few examples. It really can be used by anybody, really, right? But the people that are going to probably find a little more benefits from it right now are going to be hobbyists and makers. So those of you that might be on the call that haven't traditionally been using engineering tools or CAD tools that most people have had access to, you might be starting, and it gives you a really natural flow of how you're going to design, and we'll see that today. Maybe hardware startups, people who don't have the resources as far as hardware goes. You might not have your supercomputer per se. Maybe you don't have your servers in place just yet. This would be a good starting point using Fusion, which is cloud-based. Innovators as well, people who have a way of thinking here, a very natural, organic way to be able to say, you know what, I want to start this, and I want to be able to pull this surface. There's a lot of different capabilities inside of Fusion that allow you to do things like that, to innovate and be able to do quick iterations. People who currently have CAD as well. This could be Inventor, it could be SolidWorks, it could be AutoCAD. People trying to either reinvent themselves or, again, do quick iterations, have an R&D department who wants to explore a concept in 3D and 2D and be able to see if that's going to be something they want to pursue. So before we carry forward, like I said, this could fit the needs of SolidWorks users, Inventor users, Pro users, you name it. So in order to continue here, I just want to get a quick poll of what everybody is using on the call here. So we'll get a quick poll going here for you. So you see some options there. You have I'd like to find out how many of you might be using Inventor or Product Design Suite. There could be some SolidWorks. You could be using both, by the way, too. CATIA, Pro, or even other. Give me a few moments here. All right, looks like most of you have already answered here. Let's go ahead and close this poll and let's share these results. So it looks like most of you are Product Design Suite users. Great. At the end, you'll actually get to see how you, as a subscription customer, will have access to it, and a few SolidWorks users and other. All right, let's get back. So since I see that a lot of you are Inventor users, Product Design Suite users, I think you'll want to know a little more about when should I use Fusion 360. If it's doing 3D modeling and I already have the Inventor tool, when should I use it? Why should I use it? First of all, I'm here to tell you that it doesn't replace Inventor necessarily. Think of it as a complementary tool. For a long time, I've been telling people, if you have Product Design Suite, what you have really is a toolbox where you can reach to the screwdriver when you need it. You can reach to the wrench when you need it. Well, now you have a crescent wrench you can reach to. So if you need to do quick iterations, some R&D work, I think you'll find this most beneficial. But that's not the only place. You know, this also, like I said, can be used on Mac computers. So maybe you're using a Mac, you don't have access to Parallels or Boot Camp to be able to run Inventor. Maybe you're not at your desk and you want to show something to someone really quick and you had it on A360. You can bring it in, be able to work with it very quickly without being at your PC. So Fusion does run on Mac and PC as well as iPhones and iPads. And now you might say, I need online collaboration. In other words, maybe you don't have the right hardware resources. Or maybe you have someone in Texas, someone in California, someone in Florida, someone in the UK, and you want to bring everybody together and have more of a social feel to it so you can comment back and forth. This is another thing that Fusion 360 will give you because it is cloud-based after all, and it lies on top of A360.
Hey Jorge, one thing I'd also mention there, in an update that we do here in a couple weeks, we're going to allow from Fusion 360, if you're making edits, you can invite somebody to a live session so they can see all the things that you're doing through a web browser. So there's a lot of work being done for collaboration. So I can sit down at a design review. We may have people dispersed across different locations, and they can actually sit down and see all of that come together. So even if you're using Inventor, it's great to be able to bring in that model into Fusion and use that for, use Fusion for some of your design review sessions.
Excellent. Thanks, Karen. Now, the other thing also is some of you might say, well, all that sounds great, but what if I still need to use Inventor? When do I still need to use Inventor? So, do realize this is cloud-based, of course. And if you're working with larger assemblies, you might still want to lean to the Inventor side in that case. Maybe you have a very large, complex assembly, over 1,000 parts or something like that. Inventor is still really a really great tool for larger assemblies. Some of you using Inventor are probably already using a top-down design method, meaning you're working in the assembly level to create all your parts. You could do that in Inventor. Fusion also lends itself very well to that, and part of what we'll see in the demonstration is that today as well, actually. We'll be diving into an assembly, creating a part live, so that you can see how Fusion takes care of something like that.
One thing I may add here too, we have quite a few customers, especially using SolidWorks, that use Fusion for their early form creation. So if they're doing more consumer products, organic type of modeling, Fusion will allow you to do concepts very, very quickly. So we have a number of customers that use Fusion for the early concepts, and then once they kind of lock that in, then they bring that into Inventor or SolidWorks and split it apart, create the various parts and core cavities, all that good stuff. So, we do find that between top-down design and the early conceptual design, it helps out really well.
Excellent. Yeah, and to that point, yeah, you can import and export from Fusion as well. So you can download it, bring it into Inventor. You can also upload an Inventor or SolidWorks model or step files for that matter as examples. All right, with that, I'll jump into the demonstration. Just kind of wanted to give you a brief overview of what Fusion can do for you. Let's go ahead and jump in though. So just to introduce the interface to you a little bit first here, on the left-hand side here is where we're basically looking at A360. It's showing you the models that you have as part of this project. You can have different projects to allow different people to collaborate with on this design. So I'll just go ahead and minimize, or I'm sorry, I can come over here and see all the different projects that I have right now as well. If I go over to the right-hand side, though, I'll see the actual model itself, and there's a ribbon up at the top to be able to get to all the tools that I want. But I can also right-click and get to a marking menu that's going to allow me to get to the tools that I need. I can go to my sketching tools very easily without having to even switch modes at this point yet. But what we're going to do here is we're going to work on a rocker on the inside here, at the bottom, I should say, of this bicycle frame. And to do that, I'm going to go ahead and browse down to the bottom here where I have that part already started. And for those of you that are already used to using 3D modeling like Inventor or SolidWorks, for example, you still have sketches and parametric modeling inside of here as well. I think there was a misconception there before that it wasn't a parametric modeler, but that it does exist inside of Fusion as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and edit this sketch really quick and start working with it. So as I start doing that, I'm going to work around the assembly. So I'm going to zoom in here really quick, and I'm going to start projecting some geometry onto this sketch. Just a simple right-click will take me to the sketching tools, for example, and be able to get to the project tool. Oops. And we'll just simply project this piece of geometry here to reuse it. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and draw some geometry on here. In order to do that, let me just isolate this part so it'll be a little easier to look at, of course. I'm still in the context of the assembly, but I can start designing on here. To get to my sketch tool, as I mentioned, I can just quickly right-click, get to sketching, and be able to get to the tool that I need to draw a circle on here, for example. And I still have all my snaps on here. I can still type in the dimensions as you might normally be used to or expect out of a modeling tool. And repeat the same command to be able to make the other one. Now I'm going to get into a couple things here where once you actually get into Fusion, maybe a couple little tips for you and something that I personally liked and definitely wanted to show you. And that's when I want to sketch a line, for example, right inside of here. What's really nice is if I use my left key to, start my line, and I'm not going to let it go, it actually creates that line and it stays with it. You notice it's staying tangent to that arc or circle, so I can continue being tangent to the other one as well. Therefore, I don't have to do as many constraints manually anymore. Again, just holding down my left key will allow me to do something like that to very quickly get to my sketch that I want to do. Two tangent lines. Great. Something else that's really nice here is, a lot of times you're in sketching mode and you need to do something like a fillet, of course. So I'm going to do just that. And what I personally really love about this, you'll notice that even though these two lines, they are two separate lines, it'll go ahead and make a fillet very nicely in here and clean that up. And I have these nice tools to be able to play with it. Sometimes when we're sketching, we don't know exactly what that radius is going to be just yet. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, right? But I can come in here, play with it, get close to what I want, and then get the actual value inside of there, and you notice how nicely it cleans up that sketch. To me, that's a very big plus, coming from the Inventor world or even AutoCAD world to be able to do something like that. So we'll go ahead and stop this sketch now, and we'll go back into the assembly by taking off the isolation. And before I start building this into a 3D part, I can already start using some of the assembly capabilities. So we can start using an as-built joint, which takes this part in place and allows me to start putting this together. So I'll just go ahead and do a revolute absolute joint here. where what we do first is we just simply pick the components that are going to be a part of this. Oops, I already had it selected, my mistake.
These we may not be able to cover the as-builts completely today, but as-builts are also really awesome. If you bring in a model that was created somewhere else that doesn't have any relationships, you can use as-builts. Just build in the relationships that you want without pulling all the components apart, and be able to add the various relationships. Where I know a lot of other tools, usually you'll kind of dissect the part and then reassemble it all together. The as-builts allow you to do that kind of all together.
And we'll just do this last one here. There we go. So now, without even having to create a part just yet, or having to go into a separate part and bring it in and try and assemble it together, I hope you'll find that it's much more easier. By the way, don't forget, Inventor does have joints in there as well now. I think as of a year or two ago, if I'm not mistaken, they added it. But we have this capability inside of here in Fusion that makes it really easy to be able to create this assembly as well. All right, now we've done that, let's go ahead and build up this part now. So to do so, we'll use, oops, excuse me, sorry about that. All right, so to do that, we're going to go ahead and start using the creation tools to be able to do a simple extrude just like we normally would. So things don't have to be drastically different, right? Although it's a different tool, it's nothing to be afraid of, I think, for those of us that come already from a traditional 3D modeler background. And now when we start extruding this, what you'll see is I don't necessarily have to go and click that I want to go to a specific face. What you'll notice here is I can just click on a face and it's automatically going to go there for me. That way it fills in that information for me, and then I can just fine tune this and be able to add the actual dimension that I want. Makes it just a little bit easier, not having to navigate through different dialog boxes and figure them out necessarily all the time. But they are still there if you need them. That way, in this case, for example, I can go ahead and make it a symmetric part if I want to. All right. All right, so the general creation of a part, hopefully you saw so far, that is very similar to what we've done before. Being able to take a sketch, being able to extrude it. We have all the creation tools we have always wanted and needed inside of here. But there's a lot of other things that Fusion can give us as well. And what that's going to do is it's going to give us the ability to do, let's say renderings and things like that. I mentioned at the beginning that this is all part of it. So if we come up here to the top left, you'll see that I can go between model. I can go to patching to be able to bring in something that I might have to work with and fix up. Maybe I'm getting something in an IGES file and I need to play with the surfaces, for example, or something like that. Or even just rendering. If I go to the rendering side of this, for example, you'll see it'll kind of change environments here, give me the rendering tools, and it allows me to work with this. Even as I work with some of the defaults that I have in here already, it's much nicer to look at. It's very quick. I don't have to worry about the resources I have to be able to run this and take a look at it, as you see here. From here, we can still save out the images that we want. We have a cloud rendering that's, again, this is cloud-based, right? And I don't have to worry about the resources. And I can have a gallery of the different files that I have down here as well.
It might be worth noting, it is a cloud-based design tool. There is a thinnish client installed locally that the compute. So when you saw Jorge do fillets, extrude, it is using your computer for local computes. But there's a lot we're doing in the cloud as well. So we're managing your data for you with many versions, kind of like a Google Documents type of thing. As soon as you hit save, we automatically start a rendering process on the design that you just saved. We kick off some viewables, viewable formats that can be used in web browser and mobile browsers so that you can easily collaborate without anybody needing to install anything else. So, there's a number of things that we're doing on the data side, and over time you'll see that more and more with things like simulation and other things coming online that, we'll do kind of the heavy lifting in the cloud and allow you to keep going on your desktop. So you can see some evidence of that now, and you'll see more and more of that over time.
Right. Thanks, Gary. Other tools you have here, you do have animation tools inside of here as well, so that you can quickly create an animation of an assembly as needed, and again, save this out and use the power of the cloud to get this going. A CAM solution, and all these things I wanted to mention them to you as overview, because I would just want to make sure everybody knows these capabilities are inside of here. But we will do more webinars that will be focused on these different things, so that if you are more interested in the rendering, we'll jump into that. If you're more interested in CAM, we'll definitely jump into that as well. Wanted to a few other things I wanted to bring up actually in the model side of things. We mentioned you can set up the 3D printing out of here as well. There's plugins here for like Proto Labs, for example, to very quickly get a quote and get your part created and sent to you very quickly. It's built inside of here. That's just the beginning, really. I mean, how many of us use McMaster Car? There is an actual plugin here for McMaster Car, so that it actually takes me to a site here where I can pick on the part that I want and the exact size that I'm going to want from McMaster Car. Right in here, I can pick the size that I need, be able to see the detail of it within this window, and of course I have this window a little shrunken. I'll bring it out just a little bit more. And finally, the best part here, that I can actually pick on the part and be able to say I want to save that and bring this into this assembly. To me, that's just so powerful, because I know a lot of you, even though we know that Inventor, for example, has standard parts, you still go to McMaster Car and get in some of the parts that you might not already have, or you don't want to recreate. So we can bring that in here and be able to make it part of our design so much quickly than we have in the past before. Lastly, just the A360. Again, this is part of A360. Just wanted to mention that again. I can very quickly be able to go to my A360 site and see what type of collaboration I have. Who do I have as part of this project? Who's commented on my project? I'm not sure how many people necessarily on this call like Facebook or use Facebook, but it gives you a similar feel where you can go into your actual project, be able to make comments back and forth, and send files to each other. Here, for example, I have one where I was working for someone with Autodesk Jeff on a part that he was sending me, and he's able to add some comments, let me know that that wasn't the latest one. I can click on it and view it right inside of here without having to download any CAD necessarily at all, just using A360. And you can, again, use it with people who already have it, and they can bring it into Fusion, or you can come in here and collaborate with each other as well.
And I think more important, I mean, there's no downloading required. If you can send somebody a link to this as well, and they don't need to install anything, they can click on it and see it in a native browser. If they're using Chrome or one of the standard browsers, they can interact with the model, explode it, rotate it around. So it's very interactive, and they don't really need to do anything special.
Right. All right. To wrap this up, I wanted to now stick with us here still. I know some of you sometimes see the demonstration and you want to get going, but how do you access Fusion? So again, don't forget that you can access it on mobile devices, on Mac as well. It's licensed to you, not to a computer. So once you have a login, you can log into it in any one of these computers. It's also a very quick and easy program to learn. I want to say it's very organic and it's very intuitive. and there's a lot of online training manuals that comes with it. There's a lot of YouTube stuff as well, and of course we'll be posting a lot of stuff to our blog. Don't forget, it's on top of A360, and you have advanced collaboration. It has a project-based structure. You can very easily share this with anybody, and you have unlimited use of the projects and storage and how many people you want to share this with. It's not like you get one license and you can only share it with 2 people. No, it's there. As long as you have a login, you're good to go. And who gets Fusion? So if you have Power Design Suite today, and you're on subscription, you do have access to Fusion 360. You don't have to do the trial. Also, as I said before, this is geared towards enthusiasts, hobbyists, startups, students. All of you can have access to it. How do you get that access? If you're a subscription customer, you can log on to manage.autodesk.com, and under the Services tab, you'll see it there, Autodesk Fusion 360. And you can also search for it in the top right. More importantly, if you have multiple users, how do you give those different users access? You go to the users section, and you can add them and give them an email, and then they'll be able to download it. To make this a little bit easier to you, I did create a blog, and it just went out this morning at 8:30. And let us know if you don't have access to that. We can send that to you so that you can make sure you know how to have this access if you're a subscription customer already.
And this is whoever is administrating your licenses. They're the ones that will need to go in and do that. So if you have the admin ability to go in and manage users, you'll be able to set that up. Otherwise, whoever is doing that for your company, you'll just want to talk to them and have them hand out put your name in a license for Fusion 360.
Right, your contract managers, that's right. And then if you are a startup, enthusiast, etc., you can go to Fusion 360. I believe it's fusion360.autodesk.com, and you'll see the download, the trial, and on the right-hand side, you'll see download now for students, enthusiasts, hobbyists, and startups. So with that, we'll have a Q&A. I don't know if Garen, you had a chance to answer some of those on the chat, and if we had any more questions that came up through there.
Hey, Jorge, this is Andy. There were some questions that came in. One question is, what is the URL to the blog? And I can answer that. It's blog.ketiv.com, and that'll link you to SideNote, our blogs. Another question that came in, guys, and either one of you can take this, is all the plugins you mentioned included with the software automatically? So all the plugins that you showed there.
Yes, all of them that you saw there did come in. There is a place that you can go out and download additional plugins. There's probably 15 different plugins out there right now. We just recently, it hasn't been too long ago that we added API support. So we have a number of different vendors that are working on add-ins, but things like the McMaster car, that's built in automatically.
Excellent. Another, not really a question, but more like a request. Can you guys talk more, a little bit about how Fusion 360 relates to the AnyCAD technologies? Can you talk to that?
Yeah, I can take that. So Fusion right now, it's not part of the AnyCAD. We're doing some work on both sides so that you can actually bring have AnyCAD built into Fusion, so you can bring in Inventor models, and Inventor can bring in Fusion 360 models. So there's some ongoing work that's happening there, but not just yet.
Okay. And a follow-up question to the plugin questions. Are the rendering, 3D print prep, and CAM that Jorge mentioned in his presentation all part of Fusion included?
It's a great question. Yeah, so we have basically we had a standard and an ultimate version. We moved all the stuff from ultimate into standard, so you get CAM 2.5, 3-axis, you get the animation, the rendering. We still have an ultimate version that over time, as we have more like simulation where it requires a bit of computation to do things in the cloud, that you'll get cloud credits and some things around maybe 5-axis machining. But yeah, everything that you saw today is all completely built into Fusion, and you can go month to month, or you can do it yearly. It's $300 a year if you don't have Product Design Suite. If you have Product Design Suite current on subscription, then it comes with Product Design Suite.
Okay. And another question that came across: what parametric and modeling data comes through from Inventor to Fusion and vice versa for project collaboration?
Another great question. Right now, it's not. So basically, it's much like saving it out as a step or a SAT or a step file. There's not a parametric history that comes across. Really, there is a bit of a different architecture to both of these, and I'd say that the majority of our customers are really coming from SolidWorks and other design tools. That said, we're getting more and more Inventor type of customers. So we'll see where we go with that in the future. But at the moment, there's not a history that comes over. I think we'd probably focus more on the AnyCAD type of scenario where you'll be able to edit the model where it was authored, but be able to be viewed and used in your existing model in Inventor.
All right. Thank you, Garen. And I think that's all the questions we have today, and we're coming to the end of the half hour here, so I want to respect everybody's time. Once again, thank you everyone for joining us today. And as you log off, there is a survey that pops up. Please take a couple minutes to fill that out for us. There's only 5 questions. There's also a comments area where you can ask additional questions. And at any time, you guys can always contact us. Jorge, can you flash back to the slide where you have the contact information? Yeah, so shoot Jorge an email, call us. We've been more than happy to discuss this or any other questions that you have, whether it's Fusion, Inventor, or any type of design-related questions. And finally, if you don't if your questions that came in too late and we didn't have a chance to answer it, rest assured that we will follow up with you offline to address your questions. And any last minute comment for you, Jorge or Garen?
No, for me, just I encourage you. Don't forget, this is another tool for you, a complementary tool to get into, especially if you already have Product Design Suite. And please jump in and let us know if you have any questions. Follow up on our blogs. I'm going to start creating some blogs around Fusion and things that could help you out as you start diving in.
Yeah, I think from the Autodesk side, as you guys, if you play with it, have requests, things you'd like to see in it or questions, obviously fill these things through Jorge and Kativ, but we love to hear feedback if there are things you'd like to see in there. This is a quite different release cycle than we have with our conventional desktop application. So we push updates every 6 to 8 weeks. We're driving this product a lot through user feedback. So we have a blog or a form where you can vote up your ideas, and it's called an idea station. So we pay close attention to our forums, the idea station, and forums like this where we can get feedback and see where we take the product in the future. So keep us posted.
Great. Thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.